This super wild card weekend NFL picks edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code SGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash.
Hey everybody, Jim McMahon here, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride. Hey everybody, Jim McMahon here, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer? Dog.
Well, we are talking about a super wild card weekend that the NFL doesn't even want to discuss and call super anymore. What's this about?
Yeah, I mean we'll get to some big news, but the biggest news is the NFL, they sell us on this fucking super wild card weekend. It took me a couple of years to get used to it. Now I'm excited to call it super wild card weekend. And then like in a classic rug pull, a la Taylor Mathis and her crypto coins, Commissioner Goodell, now it's just regular wild card weekend. I can't go back to regular wild card weekend when we have super wild card weekend.
Yeah, no, I don't even have words for this. This was not the news I thought I would be discussing at the top of the super wild card weekend pick show.
Yeah, and if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/sportsgamblingpodcast, appreciate that. Smash that subscribe button. Kramer and I are not in the studio. I'm posted up at a hotel. If you've been living in a cave, the city of Los Angeles, a bunch of fires going down. I live like literally 2 blocks from the studio. It's got pretty close there. Seemed like it was heading that way. So went to the beach area where the city wasn't on fire. But Kramer, you got a photo of our office and kind of pretty sweet photo. So if you would share that, look at this thing. YouTube.com/sportsgamblingpodcast.
So, all right. So, we've had a number of fires. I find that, especially we generally lose power, no cell service where I live, or not very good cell service. So I generally go out and try to investigate. So this morning I was kind of rambling around, seeing where the fire was. Interestingly close to JPL, has not touched the JPL buildings, for those wondering. What are they storing?
Cue the X-Files music. Aliens won't let JPL go up in flames.
No way. No way they're gonna let the Jets die. But I looped around to the office, and it was much, much worse down here. I mean, there's nothing quite like the color of the sun getting through smoke. It creates this orange, like end of the world haze. It's very unique to fire.
Yeah,
and it also makes you think there's more fire everywhere because there's this orange glow, and so you kind of have this holy shit. But went down. Thought it was important that everyone throw some prayers up for God's eye.
Yes, please take a moment of silence. Ryan, maybe real quick moment of silence. Thoughts and prayers for our 8 TVs known as God's Eye. And we're back. So shout out to God's Eye, 8 TVs. Hopefully it's okay. It was a hilarious conversation back and forth last night, talking with Ryan. It's like, hey, it's not gonna spread. It's gonna be fine. And my wife was nervous about it, and I'm like, nah, I'm always the guy that's like, hey, it'll be fine. But then in the middle of the night, you check like the fire maps. I mean, my house really started, like middle of the night, started smelling very fiery. So had to get up and go. Did grab the podcast mic, which again, my wife suggested, hey, if we're evacuating, bring the podcast mic. I'm like, we don't need it, we're fine. And then now I'm super glad I have it. So hopefully everyone's okay. Crazy. Like a bunch of awesome places. I'm sure a lot of people lost their houses and businesses, so it's really wild out there. Hopefully everyone's staying safe out there. I mean, Kramer, you're still in your place, right?
Still in the place. I'd say I'm about 5 miles from an evacuation line, but the fires kind of sat and held all day. Winds are in our favor right now. And shout out to all the people who replied to my posts with a political tip.
I mean,
you are truly amazing. For one, if you really want to point out to anyone in California that the local politicians and the federal politicians have been playing tummy sticks, fucking us around in dollars for firefighters who doesn't like a firefighter. But you know what? They work it out. There's a whole shitload of dudes coming down from Oregon, Nevada. Shout out to Vegas. I know they sent some firefighters out our way. Politicians can suck it. Firefighters are cool. We might have to do some sort of money raise for firefighters.
Oh yeah, definitely. Fill the boot. Firefighters, give us the boot. If you are a firefighter, I know we have a lot of firefighter, cops, mailmen. Shout out to the mailman in Discord who said he turned on the youth pastor and the preacher to DraftKings promo code SGP. So going next level, always appreciate that. But yeah. Any firefighters listening to this show, fans of the show, hit us up. Let us know what we can do to help, because obviously appreciate you guys putting the life on the line there. And while we're railing, I mean, our mayor's super incompetent. You know, this isn't a political show, but just not doing a great job in crisis management, to say the least. This is the LAWP. Okay, so I have a real Christmas tree. Love the smell of a real Christmas tree. And they have a thing. Hey, whatever your garbage collection day is, after the 1st of January, put your Christmas tree in the green bin. That's where yard waste, whatever, will come get your Christmas tree. That's part of the deal here, LADWP. I, of course, put it out Monday night for them to pick it up Tuesday morning. It gets knocked over because of the wind. Tuesday morning before I go to work, I put it back up. It's in the bin when I go to work on Tuesday. And of course, because it's windy as hell, the tree gets knocked out of the bin again. Because the tree was not in the bin when they came by and they emptied all the other bins, they just left the fucking dried out Christmas tree on the street. So, I mean, just gross incompetence. Like, come on, now I feel bad. It's just like a tinder bomb sitting there. I got no place to put it. You guys are supposed to pick it up. So, hey, all that to be said, we got a bunch of NFL picks. Hopefully, not totally sure yet of the prop schedule, but one way or another, we will get you some NFL props. Even mentioned a couple here that we like. And obviously, we got the pregame show Saturday, pregame show Sunday. Props podcast TBD. I know CJ's on the move as well, so we'll figure it out. Optimistic we can get something going. But before we get to the NFL picks, of course, shout out to DraftKings playoffs. You're dang right. We're talking about playoffs. Super wild card weekend. I don't care what the commish says. It's super wild card weekend. You get in over at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Ryan, we love touchdown bets. First, many, the 2 touchdowns. Bo Nix, 4-1, anytime touchdown over on DraftKings. AJ Brown, plus 120 to get in the end zone against those Packers cornerbacks. They ain't got nothing on AJ Brown. New customers over at DraftKings can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SGP. That's code SGP for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. And here comes the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
One more thing to note, Sean.
Yes.
about the fires or potential. I don't know if you saw this. They released this through Shefty. Basically, they'd move the game to Arizona if needed. So,
did see that. Yeah. So Monday night could be a location change. I think with the location change, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but I'm pretty sure house rules for all bets become a void then. And I think with teasers, if you have if you're teasing that game at all, I think that the whole teaser becomes a void, where parlays usually they knock it down from like a 3-leg to a 2-leg on the parlay, right?
if it's only a 2-leg teaser, you can't have a 1-leg teaser, so it goes away. If it's a 3-leg teaser, I think it just drops to a 2. I mean, I would imagine most books have usually it's a time and place clause that says if the state, if the location changes, bets go off, and it's going to create a hilarious social media ripple, I'm sure, when people realize they have to rebet the game. But yeah, it is what it is.
It will be annoying too, I think, for people, because it is the last game of the week there, which could create some annoying and we'll get to it, but I do like the Rams in a tease, even though assuming you get that 1.5, but I feel like it's back down to pick now. But let's get into it, Kramer. We got 6 games.
We have anything additional macro playoff takes before we get into it, or NFL take? I feel like there's been a decent amount of stuff that's happened. I know we did some fantasy stuff, some playoff contest talk the last couple of days, but
no. I mean, looking at it, dogs have been decent in the wild card round, but also obviously favorites have been killing it this season. The big trends we'll get into it, obviously, experience matters in the playoffs. Rookie quarterbacks or quarterbacks making their first playoff start, a la Sam Darnold. Usually you look to fade them unless you find a special guy in a special situation. So, but yeah, I don't know. I was looking back at last year's super wild card weekend and where things went right, where things went wrong. A couple takeaways from there, but yeah, I nothing too crazy.
I do think it's always important to look at what happened last year. It's so easy to forget what happened last year, but just historically too, the wild card favorite stuff and some of the trends that I'm sure you'll get into as the trend god. You need a trend related nickname. I've decided. I got a DM.
I like reading about them, but I don't blindly play them. To me, I like a trend if it makes sense. A good inexperienced quarterback going up against a experienced quarterback. Okay, yeah, obviously that makes sense. Dogs having a little value. Everyone talking themselves into the favorites come playoff time. That kind of makes sense. Underdogs 24-12 ATS. Last 36, I think, in the wild card round. But I don't know. This is kind of an interesting situation, and now some of these games are pick or small spreads. So, what do you got, Kramer? Let's go.
Well, yeah, and you also have the fact that just you have to imagine the favorites are inflated due to the fact that they just keep winning. All right, let's get to it. As we discussed on one of the shows, the Texans have played every single playoff game in their existence in this window. The opener, 4:30 East, 1:30 out here on the West Coast. We got Justin Decker's Los Angeles Superchargers, which, by the way, 2 teams from LA make the playoffs, and now that the city's burning down, you're supposed to wait until the championship to do that. Even Lakers
there was like better. There was a crazy the LA Kings were supposed to play the Calgary Flames. That game got delayed. And then there was another instance in the NHL where the Hurricanes were supposed to play someone, and then that got delayed for a hurricane. And Colby, I feel like, always does bring up when they're talking about canceling the Redskins, he's like, oh, what? Hurricanes don't kill people? We're celebrating those. Flames don't kill people. What about the Great Fire of 1912 in San Francisco? So
I was going to say, let me be the first to say that Flames name is pretty offensive to some. offensive to some. Yeah, Chargers head to Houston, where the Texans are 3-point home dogs, plus 136 on the money line. 42.5 is the total. So this is the gambling instincts game. This is the game where everything in my brain says, well, of course, we're going to take the Chargers, right? Better coach, better quarterback, just better vibes, better output as a football team. And then you have the Texans, who have been pretty much dead all year. No offensive pulse. The defense has been fine. Mixon has been fine. But should they be 3-point home dogs in this spot? Very, very troubling number here, because everything in the experience I have in the playoffs tells me the Houston Texans are the right side here.
You know what also kind of scared me? It was something I didn't have my eye on until I actually started breaking this game down. But this is the third road spot for the Chargers on a short week on a Saturday. And going back to trend stuff, it's like what, 36%, something crazy low like that of that third game on the road is usually a backbreaker. All that's like, I'm a sucker, driving around today, and I saw the one. I couldn't tell you the last time I saw a Chargers billboard, Ryan, but Jim Harbaugh with two fists hitting Justin Herbert in the chest, and it just says playoffs. Like Harbaugh brings juice, a passion for life, a willingness to attack the day that is really, I think is really pretty. Like really just gets the whole team going. They get jacked up. I think this is about playoff experience, right? And I think it applies to the head coaches as much as the quarterbacks. DeMeco Ryans only coached 2 playoff games. They were both last year. Harbaugh has a ton of playoff experience, 8 games. He's won 5 of them. This is a guy who knows how to get his team ready to go, even on a short week. Herbert is healthy. He's running around. That ankle that seemed to be an issue isn't an issue anymore. And just the Texans. Like, when was the last time you watched the Texans and you thought like, oh, this Texans team looks pretty good? And I would say I kind of like some Joe Mixon stuff, but if the Chargers get Denzel Perryman back, I know he's a big key there to slowing down the running game of the Texans. Just like even the Texans, when they intercepted Tua 3 times, remember that game? Like I think we were on the Texans there, but that still didn't feel good. It just never feels good having money on this Texans team this year. Ryan, you were ahead of it. You said like CJ Stroud sophomore slump. I just can't take it. I get it. I get why we should be on the Texans here, because everyone's going to be on the Chargers, but Chargers are also really good on the road. Herbert 7-1 ATS last 8 on the road. Like, they just get the job done on the road. And in a weird way, they're better on the road.
I think the problem is there's just a number of checklist type things that I'm putting Harbaugh to the side, because that's not arguable.
Yeah,
but I do like the defensive matchup for the Texans against the Chargers. I wonder what this offense for the Chargers is going to look like here. I also like the fact that I do think Mixon will get going. I think they're going to be able to run the ball against this Chargers team. And we've seen Stroud have some success with first read, play action type stuff. And I wonder if this offensive system might have some success in this game. The juice will be there. Playoff game. They don't care that they've looked.
They don't
like
have
ass.
any juice though. That's my count.
The crowd,
Texans crowd. Come on.
They're in the playoffs. It doesn't matter what they've looked like for the past month. They're in the playoffs, and the road team is bringing no fans with them. So yeah, I absolutely think that's going to be a thing. And by the way, Sean, the demons of, is Justin Herbert really any good? Maybe they come back to roost in the playoffs once again.
I think
before.
I think CJ Stroud's going to steal his crown of, are we sure he's good? Because Justin Herbert, now that he can run around, I think he is pretty good. And you got Joey Bosa, you got Khalil Mack, you got some guys that can make some plays there on the defensive line side. It just any time. And last but not least, CJ Stroud's footwork horrible, Ryan. That Thursday game against the Jets, where it's like, hey, the Jets, they figured it out. Remember that weird ass game where Devontae Adams finally got a touchdown pass and they somehow won that game. CJ Stroud feels pressure when there is no pressure. I'm not betting on a guy like that in the playoffs. Can't do it. Give me the Chargers. Bolt up, baby. Justin Herbert laying the 3.
So I want to take you around the league to some teams that run similar rushing schemes and how they did against the Chargers. Falcons, they ran the ball 34 times for 118 yards. Not super efficient, but that's a ton of carries. There's some success in there. You have the Bucks, which is probably a stretch here, but 200 yards on 37 carries. The Saints earlier in the year on only 15 carries, 87 yards. So I think the style of offense that they play, I think there's going to be opportunities for Mixon to have a huge game. I'm going to be on Mixon in the prop market when we do talk about the props. And I'm going to trust my gambling instincts here and go against a team that everyone is Sean, there are lopsided games this week. This is the most lopsided.
Also, I'm on DraftKings Sportsbook promo code SGP. I'm seeing this spread as -2.5, -120.
In full disclosure, these were taken like we typically do via the Circa about an hour ago. So,
all right,
yeah, if we want to juice it back over to 2.5, that's fine.
Yeah, 2.5. Show sponsor DraftKings. Let's go.
Wow. The chat, let us know what you think about Sean's maneuver there to give himself a better number. Is he sharp or is he just cheating the system?
No, I'm a great employee for SGPN. I'm a great spokesperson for SGPN. I care about the conversions. I care about DraftKings promo code SGP. I'm a brand ambassador for SGPN, and shout out to the college experience doing a great job getting to 15,000 subscribers. Nice work, TCE. We salute you.
I'm not shouting them out.
Okay, it's war.
No, it's not war. I'm just not going to shout. I'm not a young person. I don't need to shout them out. Congratulations. Yeah, attaboy. Yeah, no, what was the juice on this though, Sean? Are you going to mention that in your pick that you're laying?
I did. I said it's -2.5, -120.
Okay. No, it's not written down on the sheet, so it might be confusing.
Okay.
For people.
I'll write it down.
You know what? Actually, now that you mentioned it, I like it better at 2.5 anyway.
Okay.
And let me be the first to say it's a great teaser leg. Pittsburgh.
So you got +2.5, +100, Ryan. Nice work.
Oh, sick. Look at that. Even money. Are you kidding me? No vig.
It's more just I wanted to hear you say you don't take the 2.5. You lay the 2.5. Or wait, no, it's the other way around.
No, you take it. You screwed up.
Oh,
you're on the wrong side of history here. All right, nightcap on Saturday. We're just going to run back a great rivalry. Tomlin versus Harbaugh, which, by the way, they're making Saturday just a full Harbaugh day, which is very fabulous.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, Tomlin and the Steelers on the road here and catching a number that almost seems impossible that we're able to bet on here.
This is crazy.
And maybe a typo here. Yeah, no, I typoed this. Well, 9.5 -550 on the money line, +450 for the Steelers. All of these numbers I've never seen before in my life. 43.5 is the total. First of all, I hate this because we just continue to be forced to take the Steelers. What else can I do here? How can I possibly be on the Ravens?
And it paid off last week. I think on the show it was 1.5, but when I bet it over at Circa, it was 2.5. So shout out to Mike Tomlin. Besides all the reasons I'm going to give why you should be on the Steelers over the Ravens, because obviously we're taking the Steelers, catching the almost double digits, 10, depending on where you're getting down at. DraftKings does have the 9.5 right now, like the 9.5. Tomlin, when they were down 5, kicking the field goal to cover the 2.5, That's why you're on a Mike Tomlin team. He's not afraid to do that move of, hey, we're down 6, we're down 5, we're going to kick that field goal. Oh, we're down 11 points. Oh, of course we'll kick that field goal, get it down to 8, 9.5 covers. And I do think there's a chance they're live. Lamar Jackson's 1-4 straight up in the last 5 games against the Steelers. That one game was that last game we saw against them. The Steelers getting 9.5 in a divisional playoff game to me is crazy, especially when they split during the season. I understand it's at Baltimore. I understand the Steelers offenses look like dog shit, but Zay Flowers is out. I think the Steelers are going to get up for this game. They've lost 4 or 5 in a row. I get why no one wants to be on them, but this line has just gotten way, way too high. This is crazy. I mean, if you want to look at the trends, it's obviously all going to be on Tomlin. Tomlin as a dog. Tomlin getting points 3 or more against the Ravens. He's like 6-1 ATS. I just think they're able to ugly up this game. They know how to play Lamar. And don't kid yourself. Like, if Russ doesn't throw that freak pick 6, which usually he's relatively clean that way, or fumble on the 1-yard line, that's a completely different game in Baltimore. And if you listen to the fantasy football, the FFPC episode, I don't think George Pickens is going to have a 5-target, 0-catch, -1-yard game. He didn't play in that loss against the Ravens. I think he has a decent game. If Tomlin has shown us anything, Ryan, it's that he can get crazy ass receivers to show up in big moments. And I think he's going to. And Russ has a ton of playoff experience. Tomlin has a ton of playoff experience. And Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. This one applies to Matt Stafford later on. But it also applies here. Super Bowl winning quarterbacks are 61-24-2 ATS as an underdog in the playoffs, 72%. So obviously Russ isn't what he was in his peak in Seattle, but I think this is a Russ show up spot. The defense is going to get him a couple turnovers, and the rate. Are you going to feel good on Saturday night laying a big number with the Baltimore Ravens? No,
of course not. I mean, look, all right. So I don't think they're going to win the game, though. I have gotten to a place where it's the last game was troubling. They seem to have solved like the riddle that they hadn't solved with Lamar up until this point. They solved it, Sean. I understand it.
Did they?
We watched the game. I mean, it wasn't the same like whoop kind of performance from Lamar. So I do think I wonder if there's a chance I just keep telling myself Justin Fields is going to get in the game. I keep telling myself,
yes,
George. Yeah, I'm on the Steelers. I can't do this though. I can't. I don't know if the money line is in play for me.
All right, that's fair. But Zay Flowers was the guy that was cooking them. He was the guy that they had trouble with. With him out of the lineup, I think this offense is different. And I don't think Derrick Henry is going to do 24 for 162. I don't think Highsmith was in that game. Correct me if I'm wrong. And also, shout out to Sebastian, the DJ and Doc, for pointing out that apparently Justin Fields had like a snap count incentive that they were trying to avoid hitting. And that's why he didn't play in that last game, because you put him in for a couple plays, which I imagine Arthur Smith has got to come up with some. Shout out to Arthur Smith getting a head coaching job. Head coach interviews for the Jets. It's almost like are the Jets trying to get their fan base to kill themselves? Like it's like Rex Ryan, Arthur Smith, Rich Kotite next. What are they doing to these Jets fans?
It's like they're seeing who the Jets fans actually want. They're floating names, see how bad it gets returned. I don't know. I think take the Steelers as a big dog, move on, and I guess I'll be rooting for them to win on the money line, but I can't say I'll be on the money line this week. And by the way, Sean, we were discussing how it's important to look back and review your process. Well, last wild card weekend, you had the Browns laying 2.5 on the road in Houston. Worth noting,
Yes.
and I had the Houston Texans plus the 2.5.
Mhm.
How'd that work out for us? 45 to 14.
Joe
Thank you very much.
Joe Flacco, who robbed me of some money and really robbed DeMar Hamlin of his comeback player of the year. That's kind of the biggest crime in the NFL. The NFL, the NFL and its associates have committed a lot of crimes, but DeMar Hamlin not getting comeback player of the year has got to be one of the bigger ones.
All right. Mark that frame and 8. Steelers plus the points.
Real quick in the chat, Brandon saying, are we watching the same team? How are they going to score? Well, if you remember, Brandon, they did beat the Ravens without scoring a touchdown. So if anyone can win an ugly game, it is this Pittsburgh Steelers team. I'm kind of with Ryan, though. Like, spoiler alert, they might not be my money line dog, but 9.5 is way too high for the National Football League.
Yeah, Tomlin. I'm telling you, we're gonna get some awesome Justin Fields play. I've had dreams about it. Justin Fields to score a touchdown. Now that's a prop I can get behind. That's a touchdown I can get behind. Sunday morning, early, Sean, first of 3 on super wild card weekend. The Denver Broncos and Bo Nix. You and the Bo Leavers going to be hyped on the pregame show Sunday morning, 9 a.m. on the West Coast for this 10 a.m. kick. Bills -9. Sean, do you want now? I see there's some 8.5s out there. I'll give you the option to move the number. -490 on the money line for the Bills. Denver plus 450. 43.5 is the total. Again, very difficult for me to see the dog winning the game outright in this game. No different than the Steelers. The difference is I do think there is an element of success and accomplishment in what the Broncos have done already. And I think in general, these teams are the teams that get blown out in the first weekend of the playoffs in the wild card round. So when I saw the schedule come out, I couldn't help, Sean, but circle this one as blowout potential. I'm going to be on the Bills here. Sorry, Sean. I think great season for Bo Nix. Great first step. Sean Payton, great. You have the team on the right path. Imagine one more year, one more off season, but not this year. I think we've seen it when Bo Nix is forced to throw, forced to play from behind a little bit. It could get messy. I'm going to bet that it gets messy. And I also think the ground game for the Bills is going to have some success in this one.
Ryan, just clap those chalkboard erasers with all that chalk you're eating. I know what you're saying. It would be impossible for a quarterback making his first playoff start to go on the road as a 7 seed and upset a number 2 seed. That would be impossible, right?
Not impossible, but improbable.
Wrong. Do we not remember last year? Do we not remember Jordan Love going on the road as a 7 seed and upsetting the number 2 seed Dallas Cowboys? Now, Ryan, for us, it was easy to see because we know Dallas sucks, but take off our Dallas hate glasses. This situation is strikingly similar. I mean, if you had to pick a NFC Josh Allen, wouldn't it be Dakota Rain Prescott? Guy who, dates the Hollywood starlets. Shout out to Josh Allen. Just got engaged to a Hollywood celebrity. Congrats, Josh. And now you have Sean McDermott, can't win the big game. Mike McCarthy. Oh, very similar straight up record in the playoffs. Yeah, Dak, Josh Allen, both have 5 playoff losses. And you talk about quarterbacks who went on the road or won as big dogs in the playoffs with their first start. Listen to this list: Jordan Love, Marcus Mariota, Tim Tebow. Bo Nix is the next quarterback on that list. He has they've exceeded expectations, but also they're not being taken seriously at all. Bo Nix released his own hype video for his teammates to get up for this game. The Buffalo Bills have already looked past this Denver Broncos team. Sean Payton has a shit ton more experience in the playoffs than Sean McDermott, and the Buffalo Bills are going to win this game. Sorry, I mean the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos are going to win this game. Freudian slip, but I love the Broncos here. And let's take a look at the Buffalo Bills versus playoff teams this year. 2-3 straight up. Their defense can't handle playoff offense. 5 games they've played against playoff teams, 33 points per game.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I that's a fine narrative. I just think those are a lot of the offenses that helped create that average are not Bo Nix in this Broncos offense. I think in a world like to me, there if you create your 10,000 simulations, there's a pretty narrow amount of versions of the game where the Broncos win. It's a game where the Bills offense gets stifled and relatively low scoring, and probably the Broncos having success in the first or second quarter, scoring a couple points to either have a lead or keep the game close. And you probably need a Josh Allen mistake game, and I just don't think we're getting that this year. I don't think I'd want to put any money on Bo Nix on the road for his playoff start, and I do think it matters that a team completely overshoots their wad, makes the playoffs, and has that is considered success. This Bills team is all business, and while they've given up some points, and have you're right to say that they have defensive problems, and I think that will come to roost at some point in the playoffs. Yes. It won't be against the Denver Broncos team.
It'll be against the Denver Broncos team because they're already looking ahead. They're already like, oh, we got to get the Chiefs. It's going to be cold in Buffalo. You know, Josh, he hates that.
27-10, something like that.
Nope. 24-21. Denver Broncos shock the world and take down the Buffalo Bills. Let's go, baby. I'm a believer.
You were always going to be there.
I was not always going to be on the money line, but when I dug in,
you weren't always come on.
When I dug in, Ryan,
you're not being honest with yourself. Stop.
You know what? And I'm going to call it 8.5. I don't need the 9. DraftKings promo code SGP has it at 8.5. So Ryan, we're going to call this game at 8.5. The money line 450, all over that. Let's go. Hey, all right. On Ryan, speaking of we did our Underdog fantasy. You got a chance to win $2 billion in prizes for the playoff. Their playoff best ball, super fun format, super quick, $25 entry, and of course, use the promo code SGPN. Get you 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. So make sure you check that out. Get in over there. What are we doing for Underdog? 2 entries. Ryan, what do we got? 2-player entry. What do you like so far prop wise? What's jumping out at you?
Well, I'm not sure what I like in that. I like if we were talking fantasy projections, though. How do you not take a Josh Allen higher a half rush receiving touchdown? Even being on the Broncos, how do you not have that happen?
I'm not touching that. And it's
really
you don't even because it's minus. It's
really?
0.94x, right? Come on, this is the playoffs. Step your game up.
Mixon? Can we do Mixon?
Joe Mixon? What do you like for Mixon?
I would
like Joe Mixon.
You got some new fan coming to the show, sitting down, watching the Wild. It's like, man, this one guy can't seem to take a fantasy projection on a team that he's not betting on. How narrow-minded of him. Mixon touchdown. That
is 0.88x. I mean, careful, Kramer. You're going to be like Fezzik giving out Ravens money line here. The way you're highlighting these fantasy projections. I'd like to get one that's not negative value here for the listeners. I'm trying to get them paid.
Winners are all positive EV for
that
the
is true.
It's Justin Fields.
Can we do rushing yards at 71.5?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I think it's a juicy matchup. I mean, you know what? I think Joe Mixon, some sort of same, tying a bunch of his stuff together would be pretty interesting in this one. So yeah, let's do rushing yards. What do you got? What are you bringing?
Getting ahead to the Sunday night game. I like Jalen McMillan. I could do his receptions are 4.5. It's 1.17x, or we could just play his receiving yards 51.5.
I think you go yards here. He's clearly a part of this offense. You
Okay.
clearly want to attack this secondary.
Well, and also if you're on the Jalen McMillan stuff, I would hit it now if you like the over for his receiving yards, which I do, aka higher. Underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. Because I wouldn't be surprised if the Jalen McMillan number gets stretched out when people are reminded that Marshawn Lattimore is on Mike Evans and that Jalen McMillan has become the clear number 2 with no K-Dot. So yeah, give me Jalen McMillan higher, 51.5 receiving yards, and Joe Mixon higher. What did I say? 73.5, 71.5 rushing yards over on underdogfantasy.com. Promo code SGPN.
All right. Real quick, Hastronaut wanting to tell us to take a moment. It is dab time, so lock the fuck in. If you're a podcast listener, yeah, you know what to do. Moving along, Sunday, game number 2. Sean will be intrigued by this one as the Green Bay Packers take on the Philadelphia Eagles. This time there will be no talk of the cleats because they're playing in the United States of America in Philadelphia. Probably no talk about the water either, although I can't guarantee that.
Right, remember when you guaranteed there would be an international incident? Something bad's going to happen?
Yeah, the cleats were a problem, and Jordan Love almost got knocked out for the year. That would have been hard. The highest paid quarterback in the league going down to Brazil and getting knocked out for the year. That's a problem. Anyway, the water might be a problem in Philly, so maybe that's why it wasn't a problem in Brazil. Minus 4.5 for the Eagles, although I see this number has some variance out there as well. So I'll allow Sean a moment if he'd like to adjust the number.
No, DraftKings promo code SGP has it at 4.5.
Perfect. Awesome. Yep. Minus 230 on the money line, 2-1 for the Packers. 45.5 is the total. I told you before the show earlier this week that I thought the Packers would be a 4.5 point number. It is a 4.5 point number, and I said I would have made it 6.5. I still would make it 6.5. I don't quite understand this number. It clearly is telling me that there's uncertainty around Jalen Hurts and his mental state right now. And I'd like for you to comment on that because I want to unload the dump truck on the Eagles this week, but I can't do it.
I mean, Ryan, are you auditioning for First Take here? Are you gonna, I know Joy Taylor had to do some things to get her FS1 work, but you're just like ripping their headlines of, oh my God, do we think Jalen Hurts might not play? Of course he's gonna play. He practiced today. They cut Ian Book. Can we stop having this same dumbass conversation about the concussion? Now, if you want to say, hey, I think he might be a little rusty, okay, you can have that conversation. That's fair. And, you look at 2022 where Jalen Hurts, he only played like one game in 34 days going into that divisional round game against the Giants. He lit them up, eventually taking them to the Super Bowl. But if you want to say he might be rusty because of that, sure. But the Eagles offense has started a lot of these games slow, but I think they could get off to a hot start here. Let's take a look at the offensive line. Offensive line completely healthy. One of the best offensive lines in the league. You got Dallas Goedert, Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, all playing together. That's only happened 4 times this year. Let's just look at Jalen Hurts. They've won every game he's finished post-bye. And I do think there's a good chance they win that game against the Commanders if he doesn't get knocked out of the game. But all the offensive firepower on that aside, and they have Saquon Barkley, a guy that people thought had a shot at winning the MVP that ran for 2,000 yards. That didn't, that has fresh legs because they did the right thing and rested him last week. The offensive side, It's Eagles defense is the number one defensive DVOA team in the league, and they're at home in a cold weather spot against the Green Bay Packers. I just struggle to see how this Packers offense is going to really light up this Eagles defense. This Eagles defense is really, the offense has had some moments where they've looked really sharp. They've had a couple moments where maybe not as sharp, but the defense, especially these last, post by this run, has looked amazing. And you get some all pros on the defensive line: Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Vic Fangio's coaching his ass off. And Christian Watson is out for the Green Bay Packers. I think it's going to just be tough for this Packer. And Jordan Love is one of those guys. If you pressure Jordan Love, he doesn't look good. Now, do the Packers have a chance to win? Sure, it's the NFL. Obviously, I think their path to winning is turning Hurts over like they did in that first game where they had a shot to win. The difference is, with Saquon Barkley becoming a huge part of the offense post-bye, and Hurts has been conservative with the ball, sometimes too conservative, like you saw in that Panthers game where he was too conservative, and they're like, all right, we gotta take the foot off the brake. We got to get AJ Brown the ball. They did that the next game. Beat the Ravens, beat the Steelers, quality wins against playoff teams on their resume. I don't think anyone can guard AJ Brown. And I just would be surprised if the Packers can come in and knock this Philadelphia defense around. Like, I get it, I'm a homer, but Ryan, what matchup are the Packers clearly winning?
So we're just all gonna also just believe that Jordan Love banged his funny bone?
That was the other thing. Like I was reading the stuff with the beat reporter. He was dealing with numbness, and then it was supposed to just be a hand thing, and then also said, now it's elbow soreness. To me, as an Eagles fan, obviously you don't wish injury on someone, but as far as like best odds of winning the game, Jordan Love not healthy, not 100%, dealing with stuff in his throwing arm. In some ways, I think the Packers would be better off with a fully healthy Malik Willis, which, again, you have to play a certain style of game. Obviously, a fully healthy Jordan Love is better, but these are where the worst case scenarios usually happen, is when a guy is playing through something that is limiting him, creating, making him one-dimensional, creating some turnovers that the Eagles have just been generating a ton of, knock on wood here in the second half of the season. Like, honestly, chat, what matchup do you really like the Packers in? And maybe if it's a close game, Jake Elliott has missed a couple kicks. Packers have been good about blocking kicks. I like that, like special teams, stuff like that. Obviously, turnovers are the great equalizer. I think Jalen Hurts will play a clean game, one turnover and less, and I'm going to be feeling really good about this game.
I think the line should be 6.5, at least. So I'm a little surprised here. If you go back and watch the first game, so much of what Jordan Love, some of all the good plays basically came with receivers running relatively wide open down the field. At this point in the season, I was feeling pretty good about my Vic Fangio's wash take. And that part of the defense has changed a lot. I don't think there's going to be these opportunities with guys running wide open down the field. I wonder how effective the running game is going to be. And, pick this up from the fantasy nerds, but it does seem like the Packers defense struggles with teams that can run up tempo at times in games. And we've watched Jalen Hurts in this offense run the up tempo as well as anyone. I think it's been a big story for you, for the Eagles heads this year, but it seems like something that they could do well. And they kind of can run up tempo while still running the ball and leaning on the clock. And so to your point, I'm not sure what the matchup would be that someone would be excited about. I don't think it's Tucker Kraft. Maybe it's Jaden Reed. You can kind of hide him and protect him in the slot and manufacture some stuff for him. But on the other side, then I think you have a number of matchups, starting with AJ Brown, that just seem to be very tilted in the favor of the Eagles. And the only thing that's going to take it down is Jalen Hurts' brain. And if he's rushing back from a serious concussion or something and isn't going to be right, going to be foggy, rusty, whatever the term will be, late on his throws. But yeah, there's also a lot of versions of this game to me where it's the Eagles get up early and by halftime it's a 10-point game and they're able to lean on Saquon Barkley. So
yeah, I mean they've done a good job of this in the second half of the season of just getting up and then just running the ball, controlling clock. Like, look at what they did against the Ravens in Baltimore. Just long, methodical drives, bleed the clock. Take what the defense gives you. Hurts running when needed. Barkley, dink, 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 and then boom, breaks one open. So, there's just too many weapons on offense, and the defense is too good. Eagles roll, baby. Let's go.
The biggest issue for me is, why is the number not moving further? Bet splits are very clear. It's almost 80% of the bets, 90% of the handle.
Vegas knows, Ryan. Vegas knows.
On the Eagles, why is this number not stretching out further? Is it just there's so much respect of the Packers in the numbers game? They're good with the yards per play.
Packers are a pretty public team, and it's a decent number. To your point, a lot of Joe Q publics were eating up the Hurts isn't right angle. He hasn't cleared the concussion protocol yet. All that kind of stuff.
At the Circa, 76% of the bets on the Eagles, just like at DK, but at the Circa, 63% of the money is on the Packers. DK 90% on the Eagles. So that's very, very interesting.
Well,
the sharps. This is the pros versus Joe's game. Are you kidding me? I'm on the Joe's side with the Eagles. I might have to reconsider this position.
Zonar in the chat had his angle of, I don't think the Packers light up the Eagles, but I could expect low scoring, cold weather playoff game. Eagles win 17-13, Packers cover. Like a 17-14. I think that's kind of how you get the cover here. I would just be surprised if again, I'm insanely biased, but Packers money line, I think, is a dead play because of how good this Eagles defense is, and the offense. There's just so much talent on that offensive side of the ball, but it's expected to be feel like 5 degrees out there, and we've seen how much like the wind, the cold can just zap out points in a game, which would make it tougher, obviously, to cover a 4.5.
Yeah, but the Packers aren't a cold weather team. I mean, that's the hottest take of all here.
Wow.
Well, last year you cited for positive use earlier, but that was they went to a dome location and they took on a Cowboys team and they participated in a shootout. And I don't know if this is necessarily a cold. I don't know if I like Jordan Love as a cold weather quarterback, especially if he's got a numb / sore elbow, wrist, arm, or whatever it is.
The juice in the chat saying you can't say Packers money line is a dead play and then say Broncos are winning with a rookie quarterback.
I didn't say that.
Watch me, the juice. The Packers money line is a dead play and Bo Nix is winning and he's a rookie quarterback. Why? You said I couldn't do it. I can do it. Watch me.
I would say this is my highest. This is probably lock potential here. Probably lock potential. Again, I think it should be 6.5. What am I supposed to do? I got to trust my numbers. The process has worked for me many, many years. All right, night game, 5 p.m. Sean, is this the right time? I double checked it at 2 different places. 5 p.m. on Sunday night, not 5:15 or 5:20. Washington, the Commander Redskin football team, they take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Good jersey matchup here. A little bit of a clash, but I like it. -3 for the Bucs, although at this point I'll give Sean an opportunity to adjust the number if he would like to do so. I know this one opened at 2.5. Immediately the Bucs got bet out, and then a little bit of resistance on the Commanders. -157 on the money line, +138 for the Redskins. 50 is the total. So biggest total of the weekend. We kind of discussed this in the context of the FFPC contest, but it's funny that it has the highest total, because if we sat down on Sunday night and watched this game and we go live after and we're talking about a randomly low scoring game where Baker and the Bucs won 17-13, would you be that surprised?
Kind of. I don't know. Like to me, the toughest thing to figure out with this Bucks defense or with this game is this Bucks defense, right? Because it'll have moments where it looks really good, and I know they've had injuries, they've had issues. Todd Bowles, I think, is a pretty good defensive minded head coach, but then Spencer Rattler's covered him up in the first half. There's certainly a lot of concern there, but then you have Dan Quinn in a playoff game on the road. You have Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback, making his first start. Again, you make exceptions for guys like Bo Nix, but in general, that's something you want to fade. If you listen to the prop stuff, I do like Zach Ertz to have a big game in this matchup. I think he is, receptions, yards, touchdowns, whatever you want to play. The Bucks suck against the tight end. You got Lattimore going against Mike Evans. But again, I think that's going to create opportunities for Jalen McMillan. Baker rushing. He's not afraid to run the ball. And I maybe a little bit too much celebrating about Mike Evans getting 1,000 receiving yards. But again, they played their way in. They won the division. It's a hat and t-shirt game. I get it. There is some excitement to be had there. I would just put Washington in that. Can they beat good teams? Like, what, to me, that's really, they seem like they're that team that gets blown out, that team that, hey, you got into the playoffs, good job. I don't think that's the Broncos. I actually think this is the Commanders here. I just struggle to see. Now, they did beat the Eagles, so I guess that's a quality win for them. But part of that was knocking out Hurts there. I just think them playing up in class or at their same level, they've struggled. So I'm going to take the Bucks here, lay in the 3. But I could see how people could be talked out of it. But what are you doing, Kramer?
I'm seeing the chat talking about Jaden Daniels using his legs. I mean, remember that first game? He had something like 15 carries.
But that was like the training wheels game plan, where I don't think they threw the ball more than 5 yards down the field. And it was, I remember we were watching over at the Westgate, Ryan, NFL Week 1, and we're like, they're not letting Jaden Daniels throw the ball. And it was blowing our minds. 16 carries, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think I was also kicking myself for not playing the 2 touchdowns, because I always love that quarterbacks making their first start, getting some rushing touchdowns. Angle should have been on that with Jaden Daniels. I may have had him anytime. I definitely had Bo Nix anytime, and he got it late there in garbage. That was fun. But yeah, what's the move here? To me, I guess it's just that Tampa Bay has one of these bad defensive games. They've had some weird stinkers, like that loss to the Cowboys. I still don't understand how they lost to that Cowboys team. So that to me is how Zach Ertz carves them up. Jaden Daniels scampering all over the place. I will take the Bucks, but I think there is a path here for Washington.
I mean, the first game is an interesting one because it's, you can kind of throw it out for a number of reasons, but it's still a 17-point victory for the Bucks, where the Commanders kind of even backdoored that.
Yeah.
And, all the things you could argue about the back end being weak for the Bucks. Well, I don't know how much I trust it to be taken advantage of still. And when I look at the Washington defense, it does seem like we're going to be able to get some offensive output here. I love that everyone's talking about Mike Evans and Lattimore, because McMillan stepping up huge, but this is a Bucky Irving game.
Yeah,
I think this is a 20 to 25 carry game where I think you're going to lean on this team. And could we see Jaden Daniels have some nice stats running around a little bit? I think so. I think I have a feeling you go look at the stats of when Todd Bowles plays running quarterbacks, and it's specifically go watch the running plays. A lot of the times it's what he wants the quarterback to do. And so I think he'll be able to bait Jaden Daniels into a number of things. And again, follow the theme here. I'm just going to do it. I'm fading the guys who are making their first playoff start, especially the young ones, especially on the road. All right, so that gets us through Sunday, and then we have Monday Night Football. Sean and I will be back on Sunday night after the game, so we'll do a Monday Night Props episode like we normally would. Hopefully the game's being played in Los Angeles, where the Rams, again, both LA football teams, a city that does not care about either of their football teams, make the playoffs, and the city is burning down. It's unbelievable, the metaphor that's being created right now. Rams, Sean, are we going to go with a pick here? This one's been bouncing around all over the place.
Spread over on DraftKings Sportsbook is the Vikings are 1.5 point favorites, Ryan.
Beautiful. All of these donkey, we'll call them Dominic the Donkey DK moves are good for us, because now this is where the public's driving the number up on the road. Vikings I'll make that minus 125 on the money line. 48 is the total. So we kind of discussed this game a little bit too. Very obvious to me that the Vikings are a solid team. O'Connell is a great coach. I think it's crazy they're talking about trading first round picks for him. Although
where did that story come from? The Vikings have a coach that won them 14 games. Why would they ever trade them?
Because NBA culture, and because these reporters want, one time we talked about the coach getting traded here. I mean, what was Shanahan traded for? Wasn't there some sort of trade in there? I think they love the idea of Sean Payton was traded. They love the idea of acquiring assets. A little Midwestern team like the Vikings, maybe they could use a couple more first round picks. But it strikes me like they are what they are, and unfortunately they've been great against all teams that aren't the Rams and the Lions. Unfortunately, been great against not McVay, and all of these things lining up to where maybe it's a donkey play, but seems very obvious that it's a Rams or nothing here, and sprinkle in the fact that you like the quarterback a little bit better in Stafford, even though the performance might not indicate that. I think the receivers are a lot closer than the Vikings typically have to play in terms of competition. And I think, again, coming to that Brian Flores defense, you attack the Brian Flores defense by hitting it in the mouth and hitting it with power football. And that's what this Rams offensive line has transformed into. Kyron Williams is going to be a full go. Puka extremely physical, and if the offense for the Rams works and they get that lead, we haven't seen the Vikings have to do too much true game trailing in competitive games where they don't eventually get washed out. And so I think they just get washed out here again. Hopefully this doesn't move to Arizona. Hopefully we get stuck here.
But do you think? If I had to guess right now, I would say I think there's a decent shot it does move to Arizona. Now it's a weird situation for the Rams because if you're not familiar with the area, their practice facility is actually up in Woodland Hills, which is kind of up in the valley. It's not honestly too far from some of that it's just basically a little bit north there of Malibu. So I don't think they would have outdoor practice. They might not be able to practice. And then SoFi, I know Colby calls it a dome, but it is an open air stadium. So, there could be some air quality breathing concerns there because it is pretty close to that Palisades fire. Now, maybe by the time Monday rolls around, the fires have cooled off, the smoke is gone, it's cleared up a little bit. Hopefully, because it would be good for them to get this game here at home. But yeah, I mean, the experience thing is big in this situation. Sam Darnold, it was choke city. I mean, Ryan, we've seen it. You see it in baseball. You see it all the time. Sam Darnold, the throws to Justin Jefferson, there's missing a guy, and there's getting the yips. I think Sam Darnold had the yips. There was a little seeing ghosts out there. Like it's weird. I know you shouldn't take too much from just one loss, but I think that loss really hurt their confidence. And we, of course, if you want to bring back the biting kneecap trend, playing that physical Lions team where you empty the tank, did everything you could because you wanted that bye, you needed that bye, and then the second half, you guys got your ass kicked. Honestly, it kind of reminded me a little bit of where the Eagles fell apart last season, where they were hanging around with the 49ers at home, and then they just kind of hit a wall, and the game got out of hand for them. And I think there was a confidence reset for them where it was like, holy shit, we can't hang with this Niners team. We're not winning the Super Bowl. There was obviously a bunch of issues coaching and everything, and the season just tumbled out of control. I worry that for Vikings fans, there's a little bit of this. And matchup wise, again, like what are the matchups they're winning? Coaching, Sean McVay has 2 weeks to prepare for Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell had a full plate on his hands, getting ready for everything Dan Campbell's going to throw at him. You know, Sean McVay didn't give a shit about that Seattle game. He got Stafford healthy. He got Puka healthy. He got Cooper Kupp healthy. Vikings are second in the league in most receiving yards allowed to receivers. Like, this is playing right into the hands. Kyron Williams could have himself a day. Now, the Rams are interesting where sometimes the offense just doesn't show up at all. Like, I don't know. I don't know what happened in Arizona. I don't know why what did they put up 12, 13 points in Arizona?
Random variance, I guess, divisional, like,
but then they put up 48 against the Bills. They do seem to be hot and cold. I'm going to lean in the fact that they took that week off and they're going to look good, pretty good off the bye. And then going back to that Super Bowl winning quarterbacks as an underdog, guys, making their first start versus guys who have playoff experience, Sean McVay playoff experience versus Kevin O'Connell. There's just a lot to like for this Rams team. Now, I think the case of the Vikings is, oh, hey, don't downgrade them. They're a 14-win team. Don't downgrade them so much after that Detroit loss. This is a revenge spot for them. Of course, the Vikings are 0-1 in revenge spots so far this season. So I will take the Rams here.
I mean, again, the Vikings are great when they're not playing the Rams or the Lions. And sometimes, like, and what I think in this case, what it is, when you watch the Vikings, obviously Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, these are really good receivers. But it's a part of the reason it's a fun scheme is there's all these downfield shots, and downfield shots take time. And what you're saying, you're calling the yips, this is just Sam Darnold. And, all going back to the first game of the season when I watched him go against the Giants, he was having these miraculous plays in these longer moments that he's now regressing back to his old form, which is when he has to get off to the second, third, fourth read and he's having to move a little bit. He starts looking down. He starts getting that, like, oh, my goodness, something bad is going to happen. Bam, blindside, sack, fumble, throw across the body, interception. I'm not saying Sam Darnold's bad. I think he's had a great year. I just wonder, you're going against the coach that knows you. You're going against a team that already beat you this year. And you're going against a team that can exactly employ the scheme and the strategy that the Lions did last week, which is play man coverage, blitz the shit out of you, and good luck. And then on the other side of the ball, we're going to hit you with Kyron and Puka over and over and over again. Another one that I kind of think has blowout potential. I'd throw this in the pleaser bucket.
Ooh, okay.
Right? I mean, very easily could see this game having some high variance outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting the 1.5 and you're pleasing it, so maybe Rams -5.5, -6, then winning by a touchdown. Yeah, I could totally see it. The Vikings just look gassed. Like there was a lot of bad body language in that Detroit loss, and I think they emptied the tank. So yeah, I like the Rams here.
What seed were the Eagles last year, Sean?
They were. Let's see. So they
They were
weren't
5, right?
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
right.
Both,
Best wild card.
For what it's worth, both 4 seed home teams won outright last year. So it's always, those games are always interesting to me. This and the Texans game, it's like, I don't know, obvious home dog spots. Obvious.
All right, time for lock, dog, and tease. What are we gonna do? What do we do for Super Wild Card Weekend? Right, I forget.
What do you mean?
We give out a lock, 2 locks, a dog, and a tease.
Everything is the same.
All right, what's your first lock?
Yeah, I think the only thing that's giving me pause on both of these locks is one of the games could move locations. So I'm debating if I want to get off of it, but I think Rams and Eagles will be my locks.
Philadelphia Eagles laying the 4.5. Rams catching the 1.5.
You're assuring me that Jalen Hurts is going to play.
Well, see, this is funny because now you're pretending like you were joking the entire time, where clearly you were serious earlier in the week. And
I'm not. I just want assurances before I lock it up.
I'm not, Ryan. You're a guy who knows ball, so I'm not going to answer non-ball knowing questions on the air. I'm not going to let you embarrass yourself by asking that question anymore. You can take your low cut top, you can take your peanut butter skin and giant rack and take it over to FS1. This has no place at SGPN.
No, when you're from Italy, you call that olive skin, Sean, not peanut butter skin. Jason
Whitlock.
No, I know. Jason Whitlock, who, by the way, not named in the lawsuit, but coming out as creepy as anyone.
Oh, man. He should be. He should be in the lawsuit with some of his tweets.
I saw someone comment that it must be AI generated.
It feels like it. What's your dog, Ryan?
Give me Houston.
Houston Texans on the money line, plus 136 over on DraftKings Sportsbook. What else you got, Ryan?
And then we're going to go tease Buffalo minus 2.5.
Okay.
Houston plus 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah, why not? Rams up to 7.5. What a tease by me. Wow.
Great tease. I'm going to take the Steelers up to 9.5. Or sorry, I'm going to just take the Steelers 9.5 as my lock. My other lock, Tampa Bay -3. Yeah, that's the lock.
If you would like to know that, if I was going to get off of the Rams game because the location might change, it would be on to the Bucs game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the only one I'm not going to probably be betting that much, I'm sure I'll be betting to some degree, is the Chargers. That the third game aspect does. I'm a Harbaugh simp, so ultimately I will be on him, but that one scares me a little bit. And the Denver Broncos, you can get plus 450 on the money line. Denver Broncos shock the world, take down the Buffalo Bills, blow up everyone's brackets. I'm obviously not taking the Eagles for jinx purposes, but that would be my super secret lock. Obviously, that's the real lock. For a tease, this is interesting. Obviously, I'm going to tease the Rams up to 7.5. Do you tease the Steelers? Sure, tease the Steelers up to 15.5, and tease the Broncos up to 14.5. Let's go. I mean, I don't think you're going to need those points, but if you're giving me free points, I'm going to take them. And I will. I mean, knock on wood, we'll be at the VSiN studio talking parlays, Ryan. But I mean, it's just Broncos Steelers. Broncos Steelers right now, both those teams to win. Now, maybe only one wins, and that's why I do like if I had to choose, I'm choosing the Broncos to get it done. But if you take let's see. Yeah, I mean, you're getting over like 22-1 on just 2 teams winning in Super Wild Card Weekend. All you have to do, right. And You want to talk about the NFL is rigged? You want to talk about they're setting up the Chiefs for their 3rd Super Bowl? What better way to make that happen than on Super Wild Card Weekend? You have not one, but 2 of the big opponents in the AFC go down. Baltimore Ravens lose. Buffalo Bills lose. Let's go.
I mean, I love the story. I'll tune in. Is Jack Bauer going to be there?
Is what?
Is Jack Bauer going to be there? Get some sweet ass action. Yeah.
Shout out to Jordan in the chat saying Philly got a roll. Shout out to the chat in general, killing it as always. Astronaut, Trevor, Easy, Brett F. Tell a friend. Let's get this chat cooking, baby. We got the prop show coming up. Knock on wood. Schedule location to be determined, but that's why you got to smash that subscribe button. YouTube.com/sports gambling podcast. DraftKings Sportsbook, promo code SGP, Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. If you missed it, we did a best ball lineup with Cody Zeeb from the NASCAR Gambling Podcast and also the FFPC Playoff Challenge. That episode both out already. So a ton of NFL, I'm saying it, super wild card weekend content to get you ready. VSiN Show, 11 o'clock East on Friday nights. And of course, the merch store. Bunch of great stuff over there. Hit the promo code SOCIAL, get you 10% off. And obviously, big thank you to all the firefighters and others out there helping LA out with the fires. Really do appreciate that. Sorry about the tree, giant piece of kindling sitting at my house that the city was supposed to take. I did my best there for you guys. And let us know what we can do charity wise. What's a good thing to help out? Hit us up, podcast at Sports Gambling Podcast. Kramer for the Sports Gambling Podcast. Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast. The soundboard, again, thoughts and prayers for the soundboard and God's Eye. Still chilling in the studio. Hopefully it doesn't get too hot over there. Knock on wood, it's looking okay. Oh, the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green. He's Ryan.
Super episode, Sean.
Kramer, let it ride.